Okay.
I'm sorry, just jumping on what Peter had said, another thing that the president said in his interview was, I wish I had thought about ordering 500 million tests 2 months ago. And I just wondered, I mean, we all knew variants were on the rise, the Christmas holiday season was coming. Why didn't anyone think of it in advance?
Well, I would say we did take steps to rapidly increase our testing capacity as of the summer. And I would just go back to kind of the chain of events here to remind people of, and we forget, June was a long time ago, but before the Delta variant was on the rise, there was not a demand for testing in this country. There really wasn't. Then Delta obviously increased the demand. We also had to take steps as a federal government to build up the market because the market wasn't there to meet if the demand rose. What the president did with the Defense Production Act is to do exactly that, investing $3 billion several months ago to make sure we were building up the market, to make sure we had the capacity. There wouldn't have been 500 billion tests to order several months ago. So the $3 billion investment, the use of the Defense Production Act, actually increased capacity in the market. And that allowed us to quadruple our testing capacity and allowed us to get to this point where we're able to make the significant order that we made. I would also note that I said before, though, that, and also the FDA authorized 5 new at-home tests since October. So the fact that there's additional tests available has also meant that there's additional capacity out there and different kinds of tests we can order from. Go ahead.
Jen, just to follow up on that, because it is the president who said himself that he wishes that he had thought about this idea 2 months ago. And public health experts have been saying for months, including 2 months ago, that there was not enough testing supply. So why did nobody think of this, or did the president miss the mark here?
I think what I conveyed just to Alex, but I'm happy to reiterate to you, is that the president and the team did take steps to increase capacity. Of course, if there would have been 500 billion tests and we would have known that there were these, very transmissible variants, that's one thing. But the president knew that we needed to increase testing capacity. That's why he used the Defense Production Act to expand the supply of at-home tests. Without that, we wouldn't have the supply in the market. Yeah, I think the facts here are, though, important. I understand what you're asking, but I've answered it a couple of times. And I'm trying to give you the facts and details so you can share them with your viewers. So using the Defense Production Act, without that and without 5 approved tests that have happened since October, there wouldn't have been the supply to order then. Those are all pieces that are important components of the process here. That's what I'm trying to convey.
Yeah, I guess, is the president not aware that there were these supply constraints? Because he's saying yesterday that he wishes he had thought of this 2 months ago. Is he not aware that there wasn't the supply at the time to purchase those 500 million?
Well, the president wouldn't have taken the steps in September and October he had taken if we weren't aware that we needed to have increased supply. But also there wasn't the demand back in June for it, right? And Delta changed the mentality in the public for understandable reasons. And the fact that there were only a couple of approved tests just before October, there were only about 3 on the market, right, that we could have tapped into. The president, using the Defense Production Act and investing $3 billion, allowed for there to be an increase in production so we could order the huge number of supply that we're ordering now.
Bigger picture here on Omicron. The president acknowledged yesterday that perhaps the government's response has fallen short in some regards. He said nothing's been good enough. You could argue we should have known a year ago, 6 months ago, 2 months ago. So did the administration do enough to prepare for Omicron, or is there now an understanding that perhaps there was more you could have done?
Well, I think what the president was acknowledging, which he said in his speech a couple days ago as well, is that we're not where we need to be on testing. No one is saying we are. That's why we have tried to take additional rapid steps and be as bold and ambitious as we can with the available supply that is on the market. In terms of what steps were taken, when Omicron was discovered, which was right around Thanksgiving, right? We took urgent action on travel, told Americans to get their booster or vaccine. That Monday, the president addressed the country to where we were with the virus. That Thursday, he released a winter plan. CDC has hosted at least 24 standing meetings or briefings on Omicron. CDC established a new standing Omicron conference call that includes more than 250 state, local, tribal, and territorial health officials. And so we've taken a number of rapid steps as soon as we knew that this was a variant, even before it hit the United States.